Yeah. I pushed 50 opponents off the track, baby.
In Japan, where the sun will always shine, traditions collide with the future's line. Through city streets and temples high, find your story beneath the sky. Waves scratch, walking our stands, harmony flows to the best of lands. In the neon glow, where is bent, the culture rich, where resistance, even more no grace. Dance the night with every star, a guiding light. In Japan, where the sun will always shine, traditions collide with the future's line. The cherry lanes and soaring heights, find your magic near the moonlit nights.
Alrighty, guys. We've got some news to share. For today, and the biggest one is it's time for me to talk about what I'm utilizing for any of this. Now, of course, if any of you don't know, I switched over some stuff for ets2. I basically have added in a new map into this, and I will tell you, I added in the rush map, but I only added it so I could get into the Donbass region, mostly. And if we end up getting into Russia or something along the line, whatever. But I'm trying not to go into Russia as much as I can, because I want to get into this area. But in order for me to do so, I don't know what is right here. And what, if anybody can help me understand what I'm missing to get right through there, please do let me know. That would be a great thing. But I cannot get into, the one thing I cannot get into utilizing is Golgova, for it. I'm gonna repair all, and we will also repair all, but then confirm. No, I said confirm, not service recommended. My wheels are the ones that I always tend to repair the most, a lot of the time, or replace things. So here's a thing that we've got within today. I'm sitting over here in Rome, and for any of you, I did a video showing you guys on how to get showing you how to get stuff within the game. So if you haven't seen the video on that, then you are missing out on some of those juicy details on how to get mods installed and how to set up. Right now, I am setting on temporary, or not temporary, but I'm setting on 1.55, even though 1.56 is out. If you don't want to do mods and you want on the latest version, go for it. because I needed to travel over to Rome because we didn't have any access to it. Now we got external contracts, external markets. I have not used the external stuff um, for it. We could take the diesel generators, and that's what I'm thinking what we will do. It's not going to take us as long because we do have this trail point right there. So we'll set that as our GPS location. No, I'm thinking I'm driving in Europe. You know what? Actually, no. We're gonna do something a little bit different. Hold on. Um, we're still gonna follow the same moniker, but I'm gonna show you that I'm just gonna reload back just a tad bit. Um, because you want to make sure that I am doing that I load properly, but we're going to go to truck configurator here real quick. Because what I want to do is now that we have a 160, I want to add a thing, accent ranger. I always like the Goliath one. So we're gonna throw the lumen marks on both ends. There. Or does it allow? I can't set anything there. Then we'll go with the Goliath one. We'll put both of those there. And no, because we got our lights there. And we'll allow that, but it will. We can remove the boom from up there. And we can add the two screamers down there where it'll be hidden within our truck day. Throwing the Ranger onto our thing. And I'll confirm our order this way. Okay. Now that's Stockholm, Sweden. We're not even in Stockholm. We're in Italy right now at the boot. And they'll take you because we have a lot of things going in for us. Oh. Here. we're here. We're gonna go to services. Service recommended. And we'll just confirm. I always will restore the vehicle. The vehicle wheels. I will restore the parts if they are 5% or more in a game like this. Now the one bad thing about the DEF is I have a hard time seeing white on green. I don't get that. I know we generated the DEF, but is there a way to go into my options? They should implement the topical graphic of what it is, but it would be under graphics or accessibility. If we needed to change anything. Okay. And then we'll come up here, we'll gather you, but that's the only issue I have with the mod section. Is I might have to check up on that. But because see, I can see it's better looking lighter green, but I just want to be able to have like the arrows, maybe have the arrows to be more of a gray or a red situation. But we will figure things out as we go. So we'll see how well we get to places and what we've got. And it's just nice to be able to have a lot to do. Having more detail, having more things to do in the game, or driving to different locations. If you're somebody that does this like on a daily basis, pro mods, modification of the game is gonna be your option. Within the game, and I really like the ability to do that. I modify the game if I can. Like this is one of those games that it's not something I'm not like. I'll tell you, like, I don't modify the game to just modify the game. Like, I'm not here to modify everything in a game. Like, if it's a creative game, and I have modifications in the game, like Euro Truck or American Truck, not creatively, but City Skylines, Sims. I always try to look for creative things, creative buckets, finding things that I can do that with. Um, Now, of course, it's not something that I want um, to heavy on and tell you guys that hey, mods are great, mods are fantastic, but you're not going to be able to do everything you want it to do. Um, and being able to modify everything, because sometimes you're going to get shut down. You're going to get shut down by Nintendo. You know, you're going to get shut down by. They're going to take you down for utilizing their IPs outside of their own domain. Which, to be honest, is okay. But, you know, if a company decides to go after it, but these guys literally have the built-in mods into the game and allows us to use mods as we see fit. When a company allows us to do that, when a company allows us to do things like that, I am going to be wholeheartedly willing and able to support companies that do allow us to modify their game when I see fit. If it's a game that consistently relies on um uh like what I did with my Final Fantasy IX, single player story driven games, not so much. Games that I just advocate for it more, and more um willingness to do a thing like that. Um, and so I'm happy with it. I am very much happy with everything that is involved within making of this game. Um, and I love the those things. Now, of course, I am also somebody that likes to be able to take control of her own way of doing things and take control of the things that need to actually be done. And being able to take control of what I want to use in my own operating system and stuff. And being able to take control of our on a daily basis. Windows 11, you can't really take control of a lot on Windows 11. But then again, you also can't do the same thing on Linux as much as you can on Windows. Like, if you are somebody that is still using a Windows 11 operating system, I still do. For now. I use Linux now as my primary, Windows as my streaming. If I didn't have to use Windows, I would basically, been looking to find a way to get a capture card. Like, I have a capture card that is there, but I basically looking for a compliant thing for Linux that I can use a capture card for, and figuring out which is going to be the best one, what is going to be something that, anything that is needing to be done, and not just running to just run. And you can't just automatically just switch from Windows to Linux. You cannot actively do a thing. And if I do, it's gonna mean that I will not be multi-streaming, and I don't care. I will lose that opportunity to multi-stream. I won't, because I will have a thing that I will be able to utilize, um, trying to maybe convince, if you guys switch over, make sure that you convince, like, you switch over. Don't just, like, if you're using Stream Elements, don't just, if you use Stream Elements, just switch over right away. You don't need to, like, you might lose ground control, you may have to have, like, if you multi-stream, you might have to find a way to use Windows events, or find a way to use it in a different light. It's okay. It's like, look, I'm not here to, like, the only reason why I switched back from Windows 11, from Linux to Windows 11, on my laptop is because of my capture card. We need gas, though. Why are you... Why'd you have me go... Why'd you have me go off in this direction? Like, seriously. But I'll tell you, it's like one of those things where I'm always advocating for the ability to take control and make sure that you can have control of everything in your life. Like, I am somebody that, you take charge. You do you. Don't let government, like, most of the time, like, I will say, like, some things you do need to have some self-control. I'm not saying, like, but I want to be able to take charge of a lot of things in my life, and if I can do it as much as I can, I'm going to use a Windows operating system. Is a no-brainer, right? No, it's not. It's no-brainer why I switched over from Linux, though. It's more because I can control the data, I can control the things that I do, you know? Like, I wasn't gonna wait for SteamOS. I was not gonna sit and wait. Like, if SteamOS actually comes in and actually starts doing its thing, then yeah, as soon as it becomes a daily thing, will I switch over automatically to SteamOS? Not really. So I am somebody that you want to have a little bit of control on in my daily life. I don't want to have everything being told to me that, hey, look, I'm on a Linux operating system because I just was like, okay, easy switch. It was an easy thing that I said, basically, I'm switching to Linux. I have everything I need to use for a daily driver. If I need to utilize it for writing a resume, or being able to play games, or being able to take control of my data a lot. Now, of course, I have that, and I have that based on Fort. Now, I'm not gonna stop utilizing Microsoft stuff on everything, because guess what? I still want to be able to play Halo. I still want to be able to play Age of Empires. I still want to play some of the games that Halo makes, or that Microsoft makes. And I'm not knocking off Microsoft stuff. Okay, like, seriously, like, Microsoft has done some great work with a lot of stuff, but I'm not gonna be also somebody that um yep, you're gonna grab gas too. Yeah, I see. Um, so I am somebody that wants to be able to take somewhat of that ability to take that charge into utilizing, having a lot of control over the things that I use. And Windows 11 kind of basically has started to shift away from that. You know, like, I don't care. Like, I was somebody that did not like a lot of Windows devices, a lot of Windows. No, I loved Windows. I absolutely, it's one of my operating systems that I've loved over Mac. I've used Mac, I've used Windows, and now I've used Linux. And specifically Bazite, to be more precise. And I'm like, I'm more happy using Bazite right now than I am using Windows. Why? Because a lot of the data, like, I'm always somebody that's data conscious about how I do things. Like, I have installed Privacy Badger, I've installed a lot of things on my web browser, basically trying to take at least some of that data. Now, that doesn't mean that my data is going to be foolproof. I'm not here to foolproof my data, to have my data fully protected. Okay? My data is not fully protected just because I have um a lot of content out there. Okay? Um you know, am I somebody um and just made it more intimate today that why I really am wanting to get off of Windows. My laptop will work, my laptop will run, I will be able to do everything I need to do to run Linux, to be honest. I am, if I work on looking at getting a new laptop, I'm going to try my best to get a Linux-built laptop utilizing a full AMD if I can. I'm not saying that that NVIDIA works on Linux. NVIDIA works on Linux. I'm just saying that I would rather have a full AMD just because I want to go full Team Red right now. Because right now, I am not happy with Intel right now. I'm not happy with them um, as much. Um, my full next build is going to be is going to stay on AMD. AMD, it's like I used to be on Intel. I love Intel. I still kind of had some regards for them, but once if they hadn't of screwed up on their 13th and 14th gen operating system, then I would have said um um and be able to. Thanks, Eduardo Rolls for joining the TikTok live. Thank you. Um, One of the things that I always wanted to make sure that everybody understands that Windows 11 Windows 10 was one of the best operating systems from Windows since since Windows XP, to be honest. I've used Windows XP, I've used Windows Vista, I've used Windows 7. Windows 7 was great too. Um, Windows 8 was trash. Windows 8.1 was okay, but it was still somewhat trash on it anyway. Windows 10, like, I stood by Windows 10, but now then I stood by Windows 11 for quite a little bit until Windows 11 decided to say, hey, we're going to have Windows recall in our system. We're going to make it a priority. Windows 11 now is requiring you to have a Windows 11 account, so no local accounts. They're starting to crack down on a lot of that. So cracking down on these things on Windows 11, and it's like, I'm sorry, you want me to have an account, then what's the point in me having? Then what's the point in me having a computer that has to be always online, like that I have to check back in every 60 days? Look, it's the same thing that I think Windows is did the same thing with Xbox One. It's the same thing. It's like didn't want to buy an Xbox One because of that. When I realized, oh, they wanted to really do that, it's like, okay, will they do it to anything else, or are they just not going to deal with it anymore because of the backlash on Xbox? Well, that to me feels like no, they didn't listen. Okay. Yep. I was right. We just gotta stay over here. So I kind of left my thing on why Windows 11 is kind of dying on me. Why Windows is not becoming the bastion of what it used to be. You know, Windows, they want to take all of your data, they want to take it and utilize it for probably nefarious reasons or whatnot. I'm like, okay, I stood by Windows XP, okay, I basically said, okay, I don't care if Microsoft has my data for bug fixing and things like that, but when I am a local user, I don't want to have to always phone home to Microsoft. I don't always want to have to phone it home and be required to do that. Now, of course, I can't do that right now. I can't get fully released away from Windows 11, but I am utilizing a full-fledged Bazai. And I always will tell you, I will always, from now on, you will always, if you do not see a Bazai logo in the thumbnail, it is me utilizing it on PS5. And I will stick to using PS5 over Windows because Sony is not an American company. Sony is a Japanese company, and Japanese have a really strict have really good privacy laws and stuff that to me screams that I'm going to stick with Sony, because Sony's absolutely doing better at that than Microsoft. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a Nintendo Switch over here either. I have that. I have a lot of these things. It's like, look, to be honest, to be honest, to be honest, I am somebody that loves doing it, but I was basically like, you know what? It was time for me to switch when I started seeing Windows recall, and these local account things are also bothering me as much as well. Local accounts are not something that are not something I'm going to be utilizing as a detailed point-to-point system. You know, as somebody who takes a little bit of their data seriously, takes a little bit of that privacy, I do like to make sure that my data is somewhat private. It doesn't mean that I don't, because you know, earlier this week there was a huge hack. It could be a little bit puffed up on the data, but guess what? Discord got hacked. it's time that I'm probably gonna have to change my account of my password, just because of it. And to be honest, um, I don't have a lot of I use my password pretty much like that one. I will have to change it to there at least, because I do use my I do have several different passwords, several different places that I don't use the same password. My one of my both my original password did get thing, and that's when I started shifting a lot of my things. My Linux operating system is a different password than my Windows operating system, than my Windows, and stuff. And I always like to keep things separated and make sure that um I always like to make sure that my computer and my things that I have um on it. As a basis for any of it. Now, in this Discord thing that got done recently, like, to be honest, like 1.5 terabytes of data, like seriously, like 1.5 terabytes is nothing short of any data being taken. Now, of course, they puff it up a little bit. I'm pretty sure there's probably less data than what is there, but you know, sometimes they always like to do some of these things through all of this. But to be honest, these these Linux-based operating systems and Linux-based things um and so I just kind of somebody that just likes to take care of doing it. But this data was not hacked with Discord per se. It was a hack done with their third party, but you know, their third party basically had the data. Actually, see, that looks a lot better there than that. I wonder on a lot of things, but one of the things that I always strive to look forward to when I look at these things is like your online safety. Like I am somebody that's conscious about the online safety. I I don't care if a child has I do care if a child has access to certain content on the internet, but I also do like but there's a big risk beside I am very, very big conscious on all of this. Like, to be honest, the reason why I say that is because when you have a hack like Discord, like the third party processor to help facilitate these IDs, you know, I'm pretty sure it's in the wake of the UK doing this. Okay, so if it had me, it had me. Okay, so it had me go that way. Okay, so I understand now. I did not see it. Like, that's the whole point, is like, I don't like this white. You know, I don't like the white thing. I wonder if there is a way that I can change the route color advisor. I will have to look into that, looking into it. Maybe I can go in and find the DEF the figuring out how to figure that out, because the latest DEF is the Poland one, and I wonder if there is a way that I can change, or maybe I can just use the base game and change it or whatnot. I don't know. No, but all I do know is that, thanks Sean E. Spellman for joining the TikTok live. Thank you. But one of the things that you guys can do with this data is you can protect your data just by utilizing. I would not recommend you go and take a little bit more conscious. Don't just like, you're gonna still have to feel like you're gonna have to use you're gonna have to figure out some way to use certain things. You're gonna have to start finding ways to protect yourself. The biggest one is if these places start requiring you to access these things. There's a lot of places you can do things to protect yourself. You can go and start removing your digital fingerprints, and things, but I don't like, I'm not too conscious about my data like consistently. Like, so I use a browser of, I use Florp as my main browser. I started using Florp as my main browser for a long time, because it's a Japanese company, but it's also, it's under Firefox. Now I don't concern myself with that just per se, because I still think I would support. I still have Firefox on this computer as well. I have both just in case I cannot access something via then if I can't access something, then I'm not going, then I will go and use Firefox. If I can't access Firefox, then I will oh wait. Not gonna be able to go to the right. It's up here that we need to go to the right. It's a little bit. A little bit of some things. Thanks Scotty Pippin for joining the TikTok live. Thank you, Scotty. Yeah, see, I like driving in Europe a lot better. In Europe, because, you know, I use the 6x2 tag lifts. It's a lot easier. I know it's telling me it's time for me to go, but but I'm always conscious about a lot of things. I use Privacy Badger. I use, you know, as a thing that I always do is like, hey, I'm not saying that it's going to be something you should probably be using as a privacy thing, but I just have it there as something, you know, you should take into consideration on your privacy, in some way, shape, or form. Use a VPN. I would personally recommend you use Nord or utilize PIA or another or use another form of connection on a lot of this data protection. You want to take care of your data. You want to protect your data as much as you can. You know, don't don't just take your data and think you're gonna be football. Just did nothing, but whatever. Um, it's you always got to make sure that you take your due diligence. You know, use a VPN, use some of those things. Um, um, you know, um, okay. We can't go that way. We have to go to the right up here. Because we need to. But there's a lot of these things that you need to take care of your data and stuff, and not only should you be utilizing that data, um, from your web browser, if you're conscious about safety more than functionality, for a web browser like me, I don't use workspaces on my thing. Huh. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to go upstairs. This, which is fine by me. Mm. Okay, so now where are we at right now? We're in Balray. Um, and we need to go to um Gomates El Gomates. And now, sometimes we might not be able to, it might crash up on us. But I've only had one crash on me so far traveling ferry. So if we do, sometimes I will have to cancel the job, um, and some of these other places and other things, um, for it. So far it's still loading in for us. It just may take a little longer. Load in with all of our maps that we have. And I use a lot of maps, guys. I have 152 mods, and most of those are map mods. At least 100 plus map mods available. Okay, so that's not the way we go out. We go out through... Okay, hold on. Do I still need... Okay, so it looks like I'm only coming in to the ferry. We need to do that. So, okay, makes much more sense. Um, but there's a lot of things that really come into being minded. You don't have to follow everything. You're not going to be 100% privacy conscious. If you are somewhat privacy conscious, or you are somebody that's did that, there's at least a few things. Using a VPN, utilizing not only a VPN but utilizing a um like um utilizing things to protect yourself. You know, you have a lot of things to protect yourself here in the United States that you can try to do as much as you can to prevent yourself from being seen, from being hurt, but you're not going to be able to protect it. You're not going to be able to do it when you have your ID. Like, I have my ID stored on Google. For why? Because I have to have premium. And in order for me to have premium, I have to have my data stored on it. Now, that doesn't mean that I have my most recent up-to-date ID. And that's a good thing. You know, your most recent up-to-date ID changes. And so I still have premium. I still, you know, have a different thing, but I don't want to have, you know, my government issued ID is different than what it used to be. But, you know, for me, it's a way for me to prepare in case I need to leave. Like, I went for the enhanced ID in case I needed to move to Canada or move to Mexico. Like, I'm allowed to go to those countries without having a passport. Now, I have to, now I still have to provide the passport if I fly to these countries. I just have to provide a passport if I go to possibly Canada. And things. But mostly I just have it so that I can use it so that I can just go to Canada if I needed to. And and if things are starting to become worse, it's gonna become to a point where if I move out of the United States into Canada, it'd be okay. Look, I'm gonna tell you, it's like one of those things where, you know, do I lose a lot of being able to, have the pop that I do? I'm fine. I can live without it. Hold on. It was gonna have me go backwards. X to delete that pin. We don't need that pin. Haha. I had that pin there for a reason. But if it gives me that opportunity, now it's not saying that I'm going to leave right at this moment and doing so, but it comes to a point where if it becomes worse, then I will. If it becomes worse on these issues, and working my way to getting out, and if the United States starts taking to the point of doing the what Trump's doing, and he's going to continue to do it, then it's going to become to a point of I'm not going to wanting to do it. It's like Trump wants to get rid of your freedom of speech. Like, he literally said that he wants to get rid of it. Now, he's pertaining to the flag, but he absolutely said that he wants to get rid of your freedom of speech. And this is something that I really take for granted, that I want to be able to speak my mind. I don't care if I should be able to speak my mind against the government if I want to. You know, there are, like, a lot of things that I would speak ill against and to be honest, I'm going to tell you, I'm not doing the greatest right now. I'm not doing the best. I'm not doing the worst either. Um, and basically going from the the difference between the United States right now and 5 years ago, I was so happy with 5 years ago more than I'm happy with today. Like, I was happy with when I voted Trump the first time. I really think I should have. If I did, I may not have voted at all in 2016. I may have forgotten to vote, or I just wasn't quite paying attention. Um, because I know in 2018 I did vote. Um, in 2018 I voted for, um, or it was 2018, I can't remember. It's one of those 2 years where, in 2016 or 2018 I did not vote. Um, and to be honest, you know, I don't, I don't ever think I remembered voting for Trump the first time. The second time I did because, I really thought he was going to be a good person, thought he was going to be all this and all that. I was a Republican. I was still a registered Republican in 2020. And I am no longer a registered Republican. This was something that really took me some consideration in 2022. It took me a little bit. Why do I want to switch parties? It is because of Trump, and to be honest, it's not because I'm LGBTQ. Okay, it's not the LGBTQ issue. I will tell you, I am a wholeheartedly a Christian. I go to church every Sunday. I go to church to learn and grow and to do things at church. Like, I go to church and I still end up going to, for me being who I am, I go to church and I still don't go to the women's side of things. I still go to the men's sides because, look, I don't really care because most of the time I'm not paying attention in that hour. Anyways, I hardly ever pay attention in church anyway. But most of the time I do pay attention. I just don't quite pay attention consistently because, to be honest, like, I'm not perfect. I never claim to be perfect, and I will never be perfect. Okay? And that's why I stand with being a Democrat now, is because I lean a little bit towards the left. Like, I'm somebody that guns, it's kind of hard for me to diversify on the gun issue because, to be honest, I feel torn on it because, for one thing, I want it to be able to protect us, but then again, I don't want it to be in the hands of the illegals or the hands of wrong people to use it for bad means. It's like, as somebody who is transgender, I don't condone violence at all. Even if the Covenant school shooting or if a trans shooter does something, it's still not right for them to go out and do those things. It's not right. Violence is no way, shape, or form, any form of things that we should be really doing at any point, because violence doesn't solve our issue. All it's going to do is you're gonna maybe, you take out the person. Look what happened with look what happened in recent time. It's like they want to go and blame and find ways to blame somebody because they don't care. The right, when they did with Charlie Kirk, they didn't, like, didn't want him gone. Like, to be honest, I actually was somebody that said, okay, we can have some debate, we can make those debates and do things, but it's one of those things, we can debate these things and not absolutely go out and make these things about violence and putting violence on top of it. It's like the whole point of the reason why I really won't watch Fox News either. It's not that I don't watch Fox News. I used to kind of just jump around and watch news for whatever channel I was on. Some days I would watch CNN, some days I would watch CBS, some days I'd watch MSNBC, some days I'd watch Fox News, some days I just was all over the place watching news. And today it's kind of like I've settled down, and I used to watch TYT, don't watch them anymore. I watch the Midas Touch network now, and I've settled on watching the Midas Touch more than any other news agency out there, because Midas Touch is actually kind of doing the work and doing the things that mainstream media isn't really doing. That I've seen. I've seen a lot of change within the mainstream media. It's like they wanted to get rid of Stephen Colbert. Of course, I don't care. Like I kind of watch Stephen Colbert when I would sleep, but I've also did the same thing like for it. But to be honest, I don't really watch a lot of Stephen Colbert. I don't watch a lot of Jimmy Fallon or these late night show hosts, because to be honest, like I'm always here playing video games at night at that time. I'm always at 10 o'clock at night, or actually 10:30 at night when they have these things daily, that I'm not watching them because I'd rather sit down and play a video game. I'd rather sit down and do it. I do watch them on occasionally from time to time on YouTube, but it's not the point of me not watching a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of TV like I used to. Like there was at one point when 2018 or 29, I think it was 2018. Um, I didn't vote. I don't think I voted in 2018. To really be frank. Um, yeah, it was 2018. I didn't vote because in 2018 I actually was not where my voting district, because I was in my internship, and I could have probably voted that way, but I didn't because I was also going to school at the time, and I could have my voting district was pretty much where my schooling was. So when I set to vote, but I also lived there in 2013. So technically, and I never changed it um, until 2019, when I voted, um, when I could change it in 2020 and stuff. So it's just like, I take into a lot of consideration when I vote. I don't vote like most people think I vote. I usually vote on, uh, LGBTQ is the one thing that I will not budge on, and I don't care. Like I'm somebody that's not a full left-leaning person, because like uh like there are a lot of things that the right does right, and sometimes the left does right too, and it's like we can't really, like I'm some moderate, but with this latest NDAA vote that just happened overnight that basically gutted LGBTQ people, or trans people more or less, from the military kind of thing. It's really like I'm too old to serve in the military. I don't think I'm too old if the draft has to happen. They're gonna want to use, but it's like they don't really think about these things. It's like my Senate uh Democrat voted for it. And I'm like, why did you vote for something that has LGBTQ in it? Normally you are somebody that's a beacon of that doesn't vote for that stuff. And that's the one thing I will always stand with, is when I look at LGBTQ things, I actually stand on that ground with them. Doesn't matter. It's like I don't care if you are like if you are somebody that is married and wants to get married. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Okay? Yes, it may be a sin, but it doesn't bother me when you go and do that, because look, to be honest, it's your choice, it's your right to make those decisions. And that's what we should be focused on, is allowing us to have the freedom to make our own decisions. And some of these things, let God deal with this. Let God deal with the handling of these things. It doesn't bother me that I see lesbians kissing on TV. It don't bother me that I see gay people. It doesn't bother me that I see trans people. One of the people that I like watching didn't know she was trans until later, because you can't. Laverne Cox is one of the people that I actually like. I didn't know. I knew who she was, but I didn't know that she was there. I didn't know. Don't know many trans people in the industry until recently when, the only person that you know on the male side is Elliot Page, but there's like Leo Baker's another one that's in the skateboarding portion. They're both of them are great men, you know? And there's a lot of people, even Tony Hawk even was there and really supported Leo Baker and stuff. And glue is one of those things. And Leo Baker um moved from New York during the COVID pandemic and moved to Florida, a state that's kind of right now not actually a state I would want to live in, to be honest. And I'm always somebody there that's actively listening and actively making sure that, look, the biggest thing that I have with the rainbow crosswalks is like, yeah, I understand, but actually with the things of becoming a place where it's a lot harder to see, I'm actually going to tell you, like, for somebody like me, I do not have a hard time seeing these crosswalks, but I think it's a lot easier and a lot better to see a crosswalk when you know it's a rainbow crosswalk um and you have it like for that reason to make it easier to see on a lot of things. Do we go this way? Yes, we do. Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm going the right way and not just um making these things, but it's one of those things that I'm always actively making sure that the content that I view and the content that I try to there's a couple of things that I try my best, but it's like the swearing issue is like one of those other things that I have a little bit of issue. It's like I stopped playing Grand Theft Auto because it's not right, but I don't care if you go out and play it. I'm not going to go out there and actively hurt your life because you want to play a game. Like I am going to tell you, it's like, if you want to play a game, go play it. I'm not going to stop you from playing a game. I'm not going to stop you reading a book that may be going against God or whatever, because, it's your choice. It's your right to make those decisions. And it's okay. You can dress however you want to dress as long as it does not physically or harm a person. You can be fine. I don't care if you have tattoos. I don't care if you have all of these things. As long as you're a nice person, as long as you're always going to be somebody that's going to be nice to kids, nice to people, I don't care. You can be a drag queen for all I care. Like, these a lot of these places think that drag queens are bad people, but they're not. It's like, you can say that, if you say drag queens are bad people, well, then why don't you step up and actually say that Christians are bad too? Why don't you step up and actually say that same thing? But they won't, because they want to basically keep Christian as a good light, when there are a lot of people out there that say they claim they're Christian, but then they also go out and majorly sin, and don't want to change what they're doing. They don't call it out and try to fix those issues. There's basically, oh, this person did it, okay, whatever, they'll just go to jail, but then it happens more and more often in Christian held churches than it is with LGBTQ, because there are more people who identify as a Christian or who are Christians that this happens to than any other stereotype. But that doesn't mean that there are good Christians out there. My prophet Russell M. Nelson's is a good Christian. There are a lot of people that are he's gone now, but he'll still be back. Everybody who dies will come back, trust me. But there are a lot of good people out there, and there are good people out in this world that are better off than Robert F. Kennedy or Donald Trump or that are Republicans, to be honest. My mom's a Republican. My mom's still a Republican. She's still a good person. And we can say we can do all of the things that we do, as a Christian if we are willing to help one another, willing to help our neighbor, whether that is, you know, a uh, whether they're LGBTQ or not, whether they're belonging to another faith. You help your Muslim people, you help your Jewish people, you help um your Catholics, you help your Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints people, your other other forms of Mormon help there is. You help them in need when they're, because you are being a good Christian. Being of different faiths and still helping them just still is something that we should be focused on, instead of just saying, hey, I'm just gonna not help anybody that's not part of my church, because then it's like you're not helping. You're not actually doing what God wants you to do. God wants you to love the sick and take care of them, and take care of the homeless too, and the poor. You know, he doesn't want you. He doesn't like the. That's why I am somebody that does not stand with the billionaires and things like that. It's like, to be honest, it's like for me, money. If money is a position that I have, well, for me, I take money into consideration that all I need is for what I need to be able to pay my bills, okay, and then some. I'm not I'm not like taking, like, if I live in a $3,500 rent, I want to be able to make $5,000 a month, so that maybe a little bit more than that, just to be a little bit more generous. Um, just enough that I can be able to pay off my student loan debt, to be able to pay rent, um, be able to have a little bit of extra fun goods and fun things. Um, and that's just it. I don't want to be somebody that's living a lavish lifestyle in a $1 million mansion, or living in a thing like Mar-a-Lago, or a place that, all these people have these big lavish buildings, and no, I just need to be able to live in a place where I can just have the things that I absolutely need, and that's all. For me, it's like, right now, I don't have a big bedroom. I don't have a lot of things. I do, but I don't. You know? I'm somebody that has some gaming from, I'm not going out actively wanting to collect every game system out there, collecting every video game out there, because why? I don't have a lot of time to play everything. You know? I I'm sitting here playing Euro Truck and American Truck. I play Call of Duty and Fortnite all day, or most of the day. Um, Whenever I get the opportunity to, but I also know that I also take that a little bit of that time to go watch some TV with my mom, watch some movies and things. I don't watch like daily TV where I go and I turn on like CBS and watch the TV like that. I go and turn on Paramount or turn on Netflix, to be honest, um, or even Amazon Prime for that matter, or Tubi TV or Pluto TV or whatever. Like, I watch streaming content. Sony Pictures is another thing that I have access to, because I play for PlayStation Premium, and you get access to that stuff. But to be honest, it's like I don't watch Disney, but that's only because I don't have it subscribed. But to be honest, it's like the only reason, if Paramount did not, if I did not have local news to watch, if I didn't have the opportunity to watch my local news when there's going to be impending weather and stuff, or stuff where I need to watch the weather for the day, I wouldn't be subscribed to Paramount, because to be honest, it's like, why do I need to be subscribed to that? Why do I need to subscribe myself to a lot of these platforms that have a thing where to be honest, I can live without. For me, I can live without the movies and the TV, because to be honest, I watch a lot of YouTube more than I watch anything else. on my own. You know, I'm always actively watching. Uh, I'm always actively watching political news on YouTube, but not all of it is political. Sometimes I will sit there and I'll watch like news for gaming news and just gaming stuff too, for building computers and things. Like, and I also study up on other cultures outside of the United States, like Japan and Portugal and Netherlands and Canada. You know, um, and Malta too. I don't haven't watched a lot of Maltese content. I haven't watched a lot of Netherlands content for a long time. Long time. I haven't watched a lot of um, content for Canada either. Um, and it's occasionally I get something from Canada, but mostly I actively am always watching something from Japan. But that's only because at one point in my life, I actively, even before I transitioned, I actively wanted to actually go and visit Japan. Actively, um, maybe even attempted to even thought about living there at one point. And I still do. And and to be honest, me going to live there in a country that ostracizes LGBTQ people, like, I still want to go live there. And to be honest, I can still go to Japan and still be transgender in a country in Japan. Why? Because um, actively in Japan, um, you have to go through a whole lot of stuff before you can be actively your opposite gender, but that's still to of your birth gender, to be honest, and it still takes a lot. It's one of those countries that is a little bit behind on that stuff, but that's okay. To be honest, they're starting to become a little bit more better on that stuff. You know, I think about a lot of the these other countries. It's like there's a lot of good countries out there that are great countries that you can live in and have um have safety and more things. You might lose a lot of freedom in these countries, but you know, if you really think about it and you go and live, say, in another country, sometimes you might end up moving back to your home country because you realize that it's not a place you want to live in. To be honest, like, it's one of those things where, you know, I actively think about, you know, they said the bad situations going on in those countries as well as the good. I want to see both sides of the coin before I make any decision. You know, it's like if I want to, um, you know, um, go to another country, it's like I look at not going to that country because of there's three things that I'll always actively look into: safety, LGBTQ, and how much freedom do I get in that country um, compared to what I would receive here in America. Okay, there are actively those three things, but I also don't just going to Japan. There's actually a little bit less freedom in Japan than you do have here in America. But that doesn't mean um, that Japan is doesn't have freedom, doesn't have a lot of these other places that you can go. It's like Canada has some freedom too, but not everything. It's like mostly some of that freedom that you lose is mostly related to healthcare, mostly related to you might not be able to have the ultra processed foods like we do have here in America. But then again, you know, I watched somebody that is an American that's actually moved to Spain and actually has so much better health wise in Spain than he does here in America. How close are we to getting there? We are gonna have to get a rest, so we're gonna have to go over there. It's an hour there, but how long to get to that point? Um,
But
yeah, so we're gonna have to go there, and get our daily rest. Um, and thank you guys for being here. If you guys are enjoying my content, make sure you guys are followed here on TikTok and Trovo, and subscribed on YouTube. All of it is free to do so. The only portion that's not free is the Trovo stream. Um, for the the Trovo side of things, if you do subscribe, you do pay like $2 a month. Um, and it's one of the greatest ways to help me in any way that you want to. You don't have to subscribe. You know, you get your afternoon streams for free on YouTube. Um, you don't get your night streams free on YouTube though, because those get behind the paywall on Trovo when I remember to do it. Um, to put it behind that paywall. But you can also help me by sending gifts on TikTok and other places as well, Ko-Fi, whatever means of helping me out. I don't think Ko-Fi is really set up though yet, but I think you can do it that way. I don't post there. I don't really have anything there. So if you are catching posts on there, it's like I only post like one thing to say that I'm live on YouTube or I think another place. I don't know why I didn't. I just and stuff. But when I look at just like going to these other cultures and studying them, it's like you can study and actually like you're supposed to come to the United States, and if you come to the United States, like I hear a lot of times you talk about English speaking and English into speaking. Here, you're supposed to be able to speak English. You're supposed to be here, but that's not always the case. In the United States, we actually have actively two languages, really, because you can't really say that you speak English when you go look at Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico speaks Spanish, and it's a territory. You go look at Guam. Guam is not an English-speaking territory. It's another language. I don't know what language they speak there. And so you gotta really think about that. You go to the Netherlands. You're supposed to expect it to speak Dutch, but actually, oh fudge. You actively are actually speaking not Dutch, but you can actively speak English there. You go to Japan. You're supposed to be actively supposed to know how to speak Japanese. But you don't have to go and speak Japanese in some of these countries because it's just language barriers. It's like you know and we're also gonna grab some gas here too, because I don't know where I'm supposed to rest. Am I supposed to rest over there? We'll find out. But you can always, like... Okay. Actually, I see where you can rest. Oh, we can rest here, though, so that's a good sign. Because we need to rest, we need to have at least a little bit of that before we go and finish our delivery. So you got to really think about that. If you're going to go to another country, spend a little bit of time studying up on the country, spend up a little bit of time on it before you make that jump. Because you're not gonna know some things. Like you go to Portugal, you're expected to know Portuguese. You know, you're expected to know, like if you go to China, you're expected to know Chinese. Not simplified or Mandarin, whatever you decide to learn, but to be honest, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying I wouldn't actively want to go to China, to be honest. I wouldn't want to actively go to Russia either, or Hungary, or Turkey, or some of these other countries, but I'm not saying that, you know, you actively look at these issues, and a lot of those reasons why I say I won't go to those is because of similar what's going on in like in the United States, right now, and that's being me being actively telling you that this is why, I have been actively looking and studying on a lot of other countries. Like I started looking into Canada a little bit more because of what's going on, um, within the United States, because of what's going on. Um, you know, I actively started looking up the Netherlands because of what's going on. Um, I actively started looking up Malta and Iceland and found out that if you want to go to Iceland, you're going to have a hard time getting into Iceland, to be honest. And that's the truth. Like there are a lot of places that actively you're going to have problems going to the Iceland because you don't have the you can't become a citizen unless you're absolutely a married or some other form of a of something, and I think that's like it's very difficult to get there. And so it's like you have to really think about what countries you're going to and what your goal is. Like how easy is it for you to get into that country if you decide to move from the United States because of what's going on? It's your choice. You can stay and fight or you can choose to leave. But if you choose to leave, you have to understand how easy is it for me to get a passport? How easy is it for me to actually get a citizenship in that country? And how easy is it for me to just do that? It's like sometimes you can go to Malta and get like if you have like buttloads of money, you can get into Malta for like nothing. Nothing. It takes a lot of things to study up and figure what's going on. And to be honest, you know, to me that's kind of why when I look at the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that basically went through overnight, where military people who have transgender people do not get care, or will not be able to kind of like not be able to serve in the military or not be able to have any of that. And it really saddens me that they have to remove those people because of they want competent soldiers. Well, let me be clear. Competent soldiers well then what are you going to do about those people who are competent right now, who can do the job but yet don't support Donald Trump? You want to get rid of them too, because they only want people that support him. Only want people that actively put it. And the military should be apolitical. The military should only be there to defend our country, not to use it as a political pawn or political things. You know, that's the one thing I'm not agreeing with the National Guard being sent to these other states outside of California. And like if these governors send it, then let the governors deal with it. You know, but president should not be sending Texas National Guard to Illinois. Should not be sending California to Illinois. Should not be sending these military personnel to these other cities and states, because they are it's just happening like what's going on in Russia. Like if you don't know what's going on over there, it's like I don't actively spend my time studying Russia. Okay, I will tell you I watch a couple of ladies who are from Russia, who moved from Russia to Canada and actually have a better life in Canada than they do in Russia because of the and they have more freedom and that's where you got to think about why do these people leave these countries? What makes them want to leave? And fix that. Fix that so that these people can come back to this country and actually want to stay. Okay? There are a lot of people who I'm moving over because I'm going to have to move over up here. I don't know why it's 70 here in town. I don't like I would say like it should be like 40 or 50 kilometers per hour, to be honest. Actually, no, we can use the roundabout up here. So yeah, I spend a lot of my time just wanting to feel like if they're going to start with this the National Defense Authorization, they put that in there. Now, of course, if they only did that for the military and they're only going to do it, they're not going to stop at the military, trust me. They're going to push this. They're trying to push it and pushing to remove LGBTQ from life in general. Because they're trying to do that. Like Texas wants to put $10,000, $25,000 bounty on a business, and for the first offense, but then $125,000 on a business. It's like removing 80% of the coverage for trans people in Florida. Bathroom bans, taking away people's right, and I'm telling you, it's not just going to stop at bathroom bans or sports bans or whatever. Because if you start banning bathrooms for trans people because you don't want them in the bathroom, well then, what if some woman who is born a woman who happens to be masculine, has a little bit of masculine features, looks more masculine than say your wife, or more masculine than your friend in high school or whatever. That's women will get ostracized even more because of it. And it's not even just happening to trans women. It's happening to trans men too, because a man who happens to go into the men's restroom is a man, okay, will have also that same problem when they end up saying, oh well, I have to go and use the women's restroom because of this, and basically gets in trouble with the law because that person went into the women's restroom. And a man that looks like it, it's like you can't, it's not going to stop. They're going to take anybody that basically they say it's about protecting cisgendered people, but it's not. Because looking at I can't remember his name. It's been a while since I've heard about it within the South Carolina thing, where he went to the bar, where he had to go pick up somebody from the bar, had to wait 45 minutes, was sitting there waiting 45 minutes, and ended up going into, had to use the restroom, didn't want to use the men's because of privacy. There's not a lot of privacy, and trust me, you want to have some privacy. I very privacy conscious. If a bathroom doesn't have privacy, I don't, even then, I still want to have my privacy wherever I go. I always look at being privacy conscious than not, And that's the whole point with me in having this privacy. And I just don't like not being able to not be able to have that. And so it's like this guy got himself into trouble because of the law, because he ended up using the bathroom that he was assigned sex at birth. For crying out loud. This doesn't fix any issues. This doesn't fix any problem, because there are going to be people out there that are going to, they claim XY or XX, and they don't know the difference between these things. Your chromosomals don't change, but when you have an XO chromosome, you only have one X. What about those that have multiple chromosomes, that have XXY, or having all these other things that you're wanting to put them in a bucket, because for what? And it's like they want to change that narrative on it, and it's like they only want it for that, but they are not really, these people that say that they know about science, they don't really know about science, because they don't. I'm somebody that doesn't even know science very well either, but I have at least enough knowledge to understand some understanding of some decent science. It's like being autistic, as somebody who is autistic, it's like Tylenol doesn't create autism. Circumcision doesn't create autism either. Autism is something that that there are probably people who are diagnosed with autism now more than ever, because we have better understanding of what's going on. That doesn't mean that in boys it's like they say that it's only for boys, but what about women? What about the rate? There are going to be things out there that they claim and they find, but there's no evidence, because guess what? If somebody has autism, somebody's going to have autism for the rest of their life. This isn't going to be something that you can just cure. You cannot cure autism, because a lot of things we take for granted, or not for granted, a lot of things that we do as autistic people, most of the things that people don't understand is we take things at a literal basis, literally. So when I look at idioms, like I don't get idioms, I don't get metaphors, I don't get a lot of these things. It takes me a little bit to really, it takes time for me to understand things, because I need to have that understanding. And facial expressions for me, it's like, okay, I'm high functioning. It's enough to the point that you can classify somebody in a spectrum. It's not like, back in 2000 or whatever, it's like you used to be diagnosed, put into a small bucket of your autism is defined by Asperger's, or defined by this. Now today, it's not defined by that. It's defined by a spectrum. And there are people that are high functioning and low functioning autism. Like, I had somebody that told me that I don't have autism. Well, they don't know me. They don't know, because they've never been around me. And people that don't know, it's the same thing with trans people. You don't know what trans person, because you've never been around them. You don't know what their struggles are. You don't know it because you're not trans yourself. It's the same thing. It's like you don't understand PTSD because you don't have PTSD. You don't understand the cancer because you never had cancer. It's like you can understand a little bit, but you're not going to understand fully what that person's going through. You're not going to be able to understand somebody who has neuropathy pain, or somebody that has, you know, a lot of different, right? You don't understand a lot of ADHD people or you don't understand a lot of dyslexic people either, because you don't have these things. It's like you don't understand a lot of what blind people are because you're not blind. But when you look at somebody who's blind and you say, well, can they see? That may be the case, that some people may be able to see like me. I can see, but I'm borderline on the point of being blind, to be honest. Like, I have a hard time trying to see from a distance compared to seeing from very close up. Like, I can sit here and play video games, I can sit and read, as long as it's close up and as long as I can see. But when it starts getting far away from, like, looking at a TV in my living room, like, I have to have my glasses. If I don't, then I can't see. I can't read without my glasses, but I can see. But I can't see well. So it's like, it's the whole point of this thing is, like, we use our glasses to correct our vision. We use things to correct our we use things to correct our bodies and try to get through it. It's the same thing with a trans person. A trans person is just going to correct what's inside them, rather than correct for that correction. It's not in any way, shape, or form going to change any of that for anything of that matter. It's just like you change your hairstyle. You want to be a different color. Well, there are people out there that dye their hair a blonde color but they were brunette, or sometimes they dye their hair because they're getting gray. And I understand the gray situation. I understand these things a little bit. You want to feel different. You want to basically have it. Same with tattoos. It's like, I understand why you want a tattoo, but it's not right. Getting a tattoo or getting something of that portion, you know. And you can't fix everything just by doing simple things. Look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson did a lot of face changes and changed a lot of his face and what he used to look like. And he ended up looking really different because of it. And it's like, at some point you can fix some things and change the things that you want to change. But if you start changing too much of it, then it could become catastrophe. When you look really weird and look different, when you get those changes. You don't, like, somebody that's not gonna go out there and actively change everything about my life. I'm not going out there to basically consistently switch everything about my gender too. It's like, as of right now, I don't have the funds, so I can't really change everything. I haven't even started the medication either because I don't have the funds. I haven't started any of that process. To do that. And to be honest, it's probably the best thing that I don't right now. Even because of what's going on in the United States. But I am still gonna be here. I'm still gonna be myself. I'm not gonna change who I am in a lot of my ways. There are gonna be some things where I will need to change in my own way because, there are things that I'm not doing right as a Christian, but, not everything that I do is perfect. And nobody should be acting perfect. If you claim to be perfect and that person consistently claims that they are perfect, they can do nothing wrong, then you probably need to rethink your situation and not actually speak to that person, or not talk to that person if they're willing to take them to heart and say that they're doing nothing wrong, but yes, they can. Everybody has sinned. Everybody sins. Everybody is not perfect. And we can change that. We can go through that repentance process and change the way that we do things. And that's a great thing, and that's a great way of getting our life and our situation. And you know, we can correct ourselves and fix the things that that we do. And if there are things that we are sinning, it's because we don't correct it. It's like we don't know that we're sinning, first off, or that we know that we're sinning, we're just going to continue to do it, to be honest. And I will tell you first at hand that I am not perfect. I don't claim to be that person that can't do. Really? Why am I on the wrong side of the road? Ay. You know, playing in this game, there's only about 2 countries in this whole entire game that I have right now that that I can go and drive on the right hand side of the road and I still get screwed up. And that's me being driving in Cyprus and UK. To be honest, driving in those 2 countries, I don't understand why we have left-hand and right-hand drive. Why can't we just be uniformal? It's like in Japan, it's like you want to drive, you drive on the left-hand side of the road, and when your right turns are going to be like a little bit harder than left turns or whatever, and based on whatever it just really struggles me. And the other thing is like, it doesn't struggle me with the Celsius and Fahrenheit thing. That one, like, I understand that oh, you look at 40 degrees Celsius, that's hot, but you look at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, that's cold. And so, I know the difference. At Celsius, I know a lot more about Celsius. Like, 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 32 degrees Celsius is a lot different. And that I do know. I understand the Celsius. I understand the measurements. I don't as much because it just naturally that way for me. It's just hard for me to understand millimeters, centimeters compared to inches and feet. To be honest, those are a little harder. Kilometers per hour, miles per hour, both of those things I understand easily more now because I play Euro Truck, because I play America Truck. I understand the difference. But let's go to our actually, let's go to our company. Let's go to our driver manager. Actually, no, it's garage manager. Sorry. Okay, so we have right now a full garage setup. Here, this one we'd upgrade. The cost costs $180 to upgrade to get 2 more drivers. For the Iveco. We're gonna say no right now. We're gonna go to used trucks right now. We do not have any Ivecos. So we would have to go and buy a Iveco, and in order to do that, we do have the Iveco in Rome. Buy online, because we can. My fleet configuration, to basically get one of these, it's going to cost me that much, and I won't have enough to buy a truck to fill in the space for it. If I wanted, it's only gonna cost me 100,000 to basically upgrade the dealership or the garage. Sorry. Yeah, it's only gonna cost me 100 to upgrade, which is fine. Fine. And we have available now 2 available to us. Now we are utilizing. If we go to truck manager, we are using the Iveco Stralis. We also are utilizing the Scania, the Mercedes. I am going with every truck available to man in this game. I'm checking to see if we got anything cheap in the DAF side of things. I could go and get a loan out. Maybe we have any loans that we could pay off. This man truck right here could be also something we can do. We also can do Mercedes. I have not the Renault trucks. I don't think I have anything. The cheapest truck right now, if we did everything, is the Mercedes Benz right there. That's the cheapest one. The next one is the Mercedes Benz, so the next cheapest is this Renault. I don't think we have anything there for it. We do have 2 curb curtain sides. We do have a dry and a chemical tank. The chemical tank is not really being used all that much in it, and I believe the chemical tank is down there in Lemisol. That might actually, we might put the curtain container down there and put the Lemisol, the chemical tank, into our Berlin location. But then again, we also have our other garage, which is in Barcelona, in Spain, which does not have anything in Barcelona for it. Wait, what is this one? Okay, that's the Mercedes Benz high roof sleeper. Okay, so what we might do is let's go to trailer purchase then. I'm going to, in Barcelona, I'm going to put in a wooden flatbed, but we're going to take and configure this a little bit. We're going to upgrade that to the steel. Just the steel bed, not the wooden floor bed. Because I do like that steel look. We'll just keep it default. Maybe we do axle spread, but that's just steerable. I'm not gonna be using this anyways. I think we go with a white color, and then we go down on the sides. We add the exclusive. I always use the exclusive one because it gets more lights, and if you're driving out at night, we'll add steps there. And just in case, if anything, we'll put that there. Where does the strobes go? Okay, so the strobe... Okay, so the strobes go down there. We'll leave it standard. We'll leave everything standard, though, for as much as we can. And then we'll just add the full protection down here as well. Not going to change much on anything. and then we'll confirm, and then we'll purchase you. We're gonna put you down here into Barcelona, so that we have at least, so that people can start utilizing that if they need to, if they find something decent for it. And we will, actually, you know what? We can maybe, we can, actually, let's do this. We're gonna go this way with it. We're gonna go over here to go rest. And I think that's gonna be a better option for us. Because we can rest and maybe we might be able to get another truck. And if we can get another truck, that's going to be a fantastic decision for us. Because you can rest in this game and get a decent amount. But then I'm going to get off here after I get that situated. Because it is that time. Will I end up crashing out? Because you have a lot of mods and you have like 152 and you're trying to load in everything, you know, it really does take a toll on your computer. Plus, when you're using GMC Community or you're using that, if you are going to be doing a lot of modding, you want to make sure that you are getting your highly sensitive thing of making sure that your computer, like if you're going to do this, you probably want to have a 64 gigs of RAM instead of 32. Probably would be a better option. I only have 32 gigs. And you should probably have at least a higher end CPU of a generation, maybe, but I don't know. It could just be that, you know, we just crashed and we're gonna have to fix this. Let me hit Alt F4. Okay, so Alt F4 will do that. So we'll check to see if it got saved properly. And everything. Sometimes it'll crash because you have so much and it's just, the whole thing of it is I think, like if I am in Europe, personally, if you're gonna run something like this, I would recommend, I'm gonna check to see if we can, because I want to see if we can get that rest going. You might not be able to get to where you're going with everything, but if you're looking for something, I would recommend that if you're not, don't go with European stuff. Use Pro Mods, of course, for your European stuff. Then add in your Russia and your Asia maps for that, and then add in your Africa maps after that. And I think you will have less of loading to have to do within a lot of these places, because all you're doing is you're just going for down there. But I don't know. I don't use Africa. I don't use Russia. I haven't used Russia, so I don't know if anything's gonna break from it. So I do use a lot of mods. I use like 152 mods with. Okay, so it did just save it here. Um, so that's fine by me. That just means we'll just have to see if we can get over there. If I cannot save it there, um, 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 I'm pretty sure tonight I'm. I freaking hate the. Sometimes like your controller, like the D-pad on your control, and to be honest, for any of you who don't think that you can't use a controller on Linux, think again. I'm using a Switch controller. You can use your Xbox controller. I'm pretty sure you could probably even use your PlayStation controller. Um, for it. So you'll have a lot of support with that and a lot of things going on. But before we do rest, I'm gonna save this, and it might just be we might just have to save more often. Um, of course, whatever. Okay, so we rested once. Because I don't want to drive at night anyways. So we'll dive it in. We'll save it just for now. It'll be 10/10/2025. Today's date would actually be right in some countries. You put your date, your month, and then your year. But here in the United States, we do month, day, year. For it. So I'm gonna rest. See if it crashes again. Yeah, it's crashing. It might be where I might just have to take a lot of European stuff out. And just go with pro mods, and then go with a lot of the Russian Asia maps. Go with Russia and the Asian maps for it. With the exception of, with a couple of the European stuff like the Donbass, things that are required that might be required because of in Europe and stuff. But we just crashed again, which luckily I saved it here. So yeah, so resting. Hit Alt F4. So anyways, guys, if you guys want to see more content, more talk about political content, I do a lot of that here in the afternoons. And that's pretty much almost every day, except for Saturday. Saturday's the only day that I do not always talk politics. I am not always on because I'm always watching Barnacules on Saturday. He is the only one that I watch on Saturday unless I have something going on. And with me going on, with a lot of things going on, with him, I kind of support his stuff and support him. He so occasionally has David Hewlett from Stargate on there, and occasionally has auxiliary there. On an occasion, he might not have aux, but most of the time he does. So let's go into our last thing I said I wanted to do is let's go check our services. We do now have the Iveco S-Way active space, but we have 266,132 euros. We do have the Scanias there available to us. Let's go see. Our cheapest one is the Scania Rs. The Volvo FH3 Globetrotters there as well. Got the Man up there. We got the Renault still here. The Volvo FH Globetrotter. I don't know. Now own. We have a lot more garage space. But I don't think I want to. We can get, if we go to truck dealers, we are using the Iveco. But it seems right there. Okay. Buy online, and then utilize my fleet configuration. And we're gonna use you. How come I don't have enough space? Did we Garage Manager. Did we not upgrade you? We did not. Okay. Let's just save this over you because pretty much that's okay. Now let's go and see if we can rest again. Yeah, as you can see, it takes a little bit of time to load in all these assets, which, to be honest, it takes a lot, and I think what they really need to do is within this, they need to create a little bit of a better loading buffer for a lot of it. If you're just using pro mods, to be honest, you're not gonna have these issues like I do. Because you're using like one mod. If you're gonna add Russia to it, you got a couple of mods. You're not gonna be boggled down with a lot of loading, but I am, because I'm using the maximum amount that I can. So now let's go to truck dealers. No. Iveco, thank you. Buy online. And then we go down here to my fleet configuration. And then we'll purchase you. And I'll put you down there. And we will now be at 14,495. Now, let's go to Truck Manager and make sure that all of my trucks, except for this one, we're gonna upgrade you if we can. Just to upgrade you with the 410. We could upgrade you with the 450, but I would rather upgrade you to a 410 and upgrade you down here. Okay, we just go back to normal. We can upgrade you to a 410. Or we can upgrade you to 12 plus 2 retarder, which basically is just going to allow us to do that. I think I will do that. Let's go check my bank real quick. I will purchase a $50,000 loan right now. And then we'll go to services. Then we'll go to company, we'll go to truck manager. Manager, you're gonna get upgraded there. And you're gonna get upgraded to the max rating as well. You're gonna get upgraded to the 16 speed. Just because you can carry a little bit more. Anybody else that could use probably an upgrade, you can use an upgrade as well. A lot of these Mercedes are not classified, are classified as a 4 are classified under the one wheel. If we were to just upgrade to the 610, okay, if we upgrade to the 6x2, if we upgrade to the 6x2, how much it's gonna cost us? $32,823, which is not what I want to be doing. So we know I want to make sure that everybody is actively on the same page as everybody else. Okay, we're gonna save you over that. And then we'll rest and see if we can rest without falling apart again. Because we are going to be driving again at night, but that's okay. I will be driving at night tomorrow. Anyways, because today's Friday. We're at 16, so I'm just going to basically just rest so that we can save over here. And I will tell you this, guys, I do play this game on the days that on a Saturday when I am listening to Barnacles, because that's what I do. But I'm gonna see you guys tonight for some Call of Duty, and some Fortnite possibly for it. And then tomorrow and then tomorrow night as well, you will see some Call of Duty and some Fortnite a little bit, because we got into some new things. I can get some more V-Bucks now, for that, and then, the next time you guys will see me here on YouTube will be Sunday, playing probably Euro Truck again, for it. I usually will go on spurts and switch every now and then. I'll switch between Euro Truck and American Truck, because that way you guys get a little bit of variety. We are only on 1.55 right now for Euro Truck. American Truck's on 1.56, because American Truck does not have a lot to update for it. I am only using like 32 mods, and everything works just fine and dandy. I can load in and not have any problems. Here I'm loading 152, and I do have some problems with it because I have way too many mods. But that's okay. So anyway, make sure you guys are followed here on TikTok and Trovo. I am live every day, about 3-4 o'clock, sometimes 4:30. It's becoming more and more of 4:30, and I don't want that to be the case. I'm trying to make it 4 o'clock at the max. And then at 4 o'clock until about 5 o'clock. Tonight's been 6:18. I need to get off though. And then the night streams are from 9 till 2, except for Saturday. Saturday is from 9 till 1. And it's specifically only for non-YouTube people because of that. So anyway, we will make sure you guys are subscribed, make sure you guys hit that bell notification with y'all, and we will see you guys